great right now. I'm in New York and I'm a product manager at an ad tech company.
Do you think you ever want to go back to marketing?
Because at the end of the day, as a product manager, you're the one that's making the decision and the decision's going to be on you.
Choosing a career path, not just a monetary value, but in access to the information that their parents had early on.
You can be an individual contributor and not have a team or not have people under you. Or you could become a people leader as a product manager. You can have your own team and you can have people you mentor and you work with. They rely on data pretty heavily because even if I second guess myself, I can always come back to the numbers.
That was the most amazing session I've had in a very long while. This is In Between Spaces podcast. Welcome to the In Between Spaces podcast. If this is your first time, my name is Blessed Onoha. On today's episode, we'll be discussing the story of a young product manager whose curiosity, community mindset, and determination has helped her work across different industries, across several tech hubs, including London and Boston. She's an amazing product manager and she has developed products that are touching millions of users. So today we'll be discussing her curiosity, we'll be discussing some of the challenges she has faced, and yes, she has also authored some really thoughtful articles on navigating tech as a young PM. I would love to hear all of that. So thank you so much. The PM we have in today is Chloe. Hi Chloe, thank you for being on this podcast.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great right now. I'm in New York and I'm a product manager at an ad tech company.
Okay, I like that. So can we get into it a little bit? You discovered product management really early in high school, right? That's correct. What was about the first encounter that made you think this is what I want to do? Because that was quite early to discover a career path and follow through with it.
Yeah, so in high school, I was really lucky. I was able to do a summer program called Girls Who Code, where it's an organization where they teach young girls in high school kind of the basics of software development. It's about an 8-week long course, and I did it based in New York City. And during that program, they had a lot of guest speakers and presenters who talked about what they did for work, the different parts of tech that they're based in. And one of the speakers was a product manager, and when she spoke, it just was captivating. She talked about being kind of the conductor of an orchestra, and she helped bridge the gap between user needs, software developers, and designers. And it was really great being able to get that experience and hearing her talk about it. And I was able to connect with her after and learn more about product management from her. And over the course of those 8 weeks, we stayed in touch, and I was able to learn more about that specific field, which was really great. I really loved the blend of tech, strategy, creativity, and it aligned with my strengths and my kind of curiosity when it comes to technology. There's a lot of really great problem solving and collaboration involved in product management. And I love the idea of connecting data and business to actually make a real user impact and help people out with their daily jobs or trying to book their next trip. And I always love the idea of building things that could help make people's lives a lot easier and connecting the different dots within an organization to make that happen.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question on this, but before that, let's take it a little back. What was growing up like for you? Where did you grow up? And before this conversation with this lady at this conference on product management, what did you think you were going to do with your life? What was there any thought on that? It's okay if there was no thought on that, but yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, I grew up right outside of New York City, so I'm really lucky I was able to access all of New York City had to offer, but I was also based in the suburbs. And before that, what I thought I was going to do, probably something in marketing, something business related, but I didn't really know that much about tech before that. So probably something marketing or business or like analytics related.
Oh, okay. Well, so these few years you've had in product management, amidst the challenges, how does it feel to work in tech? Do you think you ever want to go back to marketing?
Ooh, I really like working in tech. I like working with like software engineers and UX designers. I think that the way that they think aligns with the way that my brain naturally works. Um, I also I don't think I could bring myself to a purely business role because I like learning about what makes kind of the business and the company run from like a back end perspective. And I think that if I was on the marketing or analytics side of things, I'd still be curious about how the platforms I use every day work.
So after the conversation with the lady, you said you connected with her, she put you through on some things. What were the practical next steps you took after that? What are the things you did that actually got you into product management?
Oh yeah. So some things that I did to get me into, well, the steps I did after that was I started researching a lot of different articles about product managers, a lot of Medium articles, a lot of YouTube videos to learn more about like different perspectives and product managers in like different industries. I also tried reaching out to people on LinkedIn about product managers if they are a product manager. I did a lot of internal research on the role.
Okay. So a lot of people are intentional. They want to get into the tech space. So an example would be in Nigeria, right? We don't choosing a career path based on the education or making intentional steps, even from education standpoint, is not something we have so much, especially between the average and the poor. Not just in monetary value, but in access to the information that their parents had early on. So I remembered during our intro call, you mentioned that you were the first person in your family to be a product manager, and then you made intentional step into studying business and data analysis, right? So you could, and a blend of these two has helped you thrive even in product management. So for people that are the first or the pioneers of this in their family or in their lineage, what was your advice to them?
Ooh, I would say for me, it was really important to start figuring out what I wanted to do career wise early on because college was the time to lay the groundwork for and setting myself up for success. And so I needed to know what I wanted to focus on because, like, education is time consuming and expensive. So I needed to do research to
Yeah.
know what I was investing in to prevent myself from going down the wrong path because it's easier to like turn around earlier on as opposed to spending like a few years investing in something and it not being what you want to do. So yeah, no one in my family worked in tech, so I had to self-educate a lot. So I spent a lot of time like reading blogs, watching videos, researching like what a product manager roadmap is, what a typical day in the life is. Um, and there were like quite a few self-published like Medium type of articles back in the day. And so those really helped me. And again, like I reached out to people on LinkedIn and stuff for informal chats about what they did. I also did a lot of like hackathons in high school, student tech projects, clubs, and internships because those were a great way to connect with people with common interests, and that also worked in tech in a really great way.
Yeah. So you work today as a product manager at a firm in New York, correct?
Yes.
So if and you mentioned that as a young PM, people still turn to you for direction. How do you learn to own your own space even while being a young PM? You know, for PMs, designers are asking clarity, developers are asking for clarity. So as a young PM in this field, how do you learn to own your own space without feeling like you need to second guess yourself or to prove yourself all the time?
Ooh, that's a good question. What I do is um, I rely on like user data and user insights. I rely on data pretty heavily. because even if I second guess myself, I can always come back to the numbers. I also collaborate to validate my decisions. So when I come with like objective facts that back up my perspective, I'm always able to like in the back of my mind rely on those because it adds to like my credibility and it shows that I put like thought and effort into my decision. So I like work with analytics. I come up with like questions and hypotheses, and I work on like validating those results. And I dig up like historical data. I also do things like go to user research and see if they have any previous studies based on like the topic that I'm trying to understand a bit more. And maybe even propose new user research studies and see how I can participate and learn about them. And I can also bring like specific user quotes to meetings too. So I can bring like objective facts to whatever like I might have a specific doubt in. Also taking a look at what the market is doing in market research to see what other people are doing so I can bring those facts to the table too.
Okay, so I believe some of those hackathons you did and those clubs you joined while in school, they were helpful in building a portfolio. So for young PMs or for PMs that are just getting into the field, getting their first job is always a big problem because they have to put their best foot forward, which everyone has to do, but they have to show what they've done. And for PMs, there is not so much you can show if you've not worked directly with developers and designers to actually build an ideal product, right? So how were you able, as you did these hackathons, were you writing case studies on them? How were you able to position yourself for the job opportunities you had?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't. So, in order to, I'm going to start with getting an internship first, because a lot went into that specifically. I did a lot of adjacent activities to product management to help me get into it. Okay. So, my very first internship was at this company called Wayfair. They sell a lot of furniture, and I was a category management intern. So I helped manage relationships between top suppliers and Wayfair. And I worked with a company called iRobot on some like cases. And so that helped me land my first iRobot job, which was a product manager job. Another thing that helped me land that first product manager job was working, like I actually found a TA teaching assistant job through like the Girls Who Code Alumni Network. Yeah. And I was a robotics teaching assistant. And so I taught high schoolers how to make little self-driving cars. And so I was able to use both of those experiences to help land my first product manager job at iRobot because I had experience with the specific company. And I also worked with like robotics. I also did a lot to prepare for the interview too. Yeah. I remember it was a multi-round interview. I think the first step was a recruiter screening. So I did a lot of research on the company I did further research on the company to prepare for that. Then I did an interview with a product manager. And then after that, I did like a 30-minute presentation on my favorite product. And so I had to really break down that case study and make a presentation including things like the hypothesis, the user problem it solves. I did a competitor analysis, some pros and cons of the product. Wow. And then I did some data-driven, I did like a little data-driven study with comparing the dry times of, like my product was like my favorite hair towel. And so I compared how much dry time my favorite hair towel took compared to a blow dryer versus air drying, etc. And I think that the research I did on the amount of effort I did on that presentation helped me really stand out.
Okay. So, data driven. I love how invested you are when you talk about coming up with product decisions. I could see you do a lot of research. You go the granular, and that is very important. Like something that happened last month at work for me was when we were discussing a better approach for our products going forward, and then we talked so much about building from outside in instead of inside out. So where we start with the problem, the users, their consents. Now, how can we solve this digitally? How can we solve this with design? Now, we build inside, ideate, have some prototypes, go back to the market. Does this solve your initial concerns? So instead of just coming from a business perspective, oh, this is what the company does, and these are the kind of products they just release. How do you help build out consistent, innovative products? Go from outside, ask questions. Right? So I love how detailed you are with data. Go on, please. You wanted to say something?
No, I love that. I completely agree with what you said. It's really great to like validate results with users, especially before like the product is released, and make it really iterative.
Yeah. And like chatting with you, something I've noticed is you're having so much fun. You have so much fun with what you do. That is so cool to see. I mean, I love being a designer, right? And I love when I get into that space and I'm all excited. I'm making different screens for the same product or for the same flow. And then after making, I'm trying to choose. Like, those are the fun part of it for me. I go to research and I'm writing out pinpoint and all of that. I love how fun design is for me, and hearing you speak, I can see you have so much fun while doing product management. So what does a typical day to day as a product manager, what does it look like for you? Just
That's the fun part. It's always different. Every day it's completely different. It depends on where we are in like the planning process in the quarter, but usually I get into work, I check my emails, I check Slack, and then I usually a stand up, which is a meeting we have with our engineers every day, just to understand what they're working on, if they have any blockers, if I can help answer any questions, and making sure all the timelines are on track. It's a really great kind of ceremony where we have it every day with the engineers. And then after that, sometimes it really depends. Sometimes I do market research or user research, understanding like what either like understanding what new pain points people have,
yeah,
or how are we able to address like existing pain points.
yeah,
I'm trying to validate that. Sometimes I meet directly with the users, which is always a fun time. It depends if our users are internal or external. Right
yeah,
now, a lot of my users are internal, and so I'm able to like walk over to their desk and ask them like how they're doing. I also help triage any bugs that they have, because no product is 100% perfect. There's always going to be potentially some bugs that we want to address and help our users with. And if there are bugs, I understand what the bug is, and then I raise that to the engineers. We use a lot of different tools at work. One of them is Jira, which is kind of a like ticketing management system. And so I create bugs on Jira, and then I raise them with the engineers, and I prioritize them accordingly. Sometimes I do sprint planning with my engineering lead, figuring out what specific tasks are the engineers going to work on for the next sprint,
yeah,
which is about a 2-week life cycle. And then I work with UX a lot too. I love working with UX. I know you mentioned you liked taking like different screens and picking the best one. That's one of my favorite parts
yeah,
about being a product manager. Because you also get to like see how the product progresses over time, and seeing like it's really great to reflect and see this is where the product started when I first joined the organization or when I first joined the product, and this is where it's at right now. It's made a ton of progress and it's made real impact on people. But that's kind of a side note. I work with designers. We review like recent designs that they've made based on asks, and then we potentially review them with the users too. And yeah, that's a lot of what I don't think I do all of that in a single day every day, but that's like a taste of all the different things that I do over the course of maybe like a month or so.
yeah. You did mention that every day is different, and I totally agree with you. Like, some days I'm running stop suites, I'm reviewing requests and developers' needs. There's always, oh, please clarify this. This is this. Some days I am deeply engrossed in work, pushing out flows. Other days I'm reviewing their several meetings to have. So day in day within this space is not linear and like that. So I have this fun question I want to ask. Yeah, I know that most of our audience are recently moving countries, or they recently moved into a new country. Migration is happening a lot recently, and I know you've worked across Boston, London, Seattle. So I just want to ask, are there any tips you have for someone that just moved country and they are picking up their tech career in that country? So they already have an existing tech career, but they got into a new country and they are trying to find their feet. What's your advice for that person? Are there any tips that can help them land jobs? Because they are looking to land job, and I mean they have a vast portfolio, but that is in another country. So something that can help.
Yeah. So I've like lived in New York, Boston, and Seattle. I like have a lot of colleagues in like different countries too. I've worked across like India, Canada, London, which like also Mexico and South America, which has been like an amazing, and Australia, which has been like a really amazing experience. I would say for moving, like for doing a move, which I can only speak like within like a country, I think that one of the big things is making sure you reach out to people beforehand. If you have any coworkers that you've worked with internationally previously, I think that's a really big help learning like the lifestyle, if there's a different language, like different nuances within culture. I also think seeing if they have any connections through like their job experiences, being able to like settle down and like establish kind of a life there. I think that that's challenging, but it's also remembering that it's a journey and it's really exciting to like try a new place to live. Because
Yeah.
I like how I break my life up into different chunks based on where I've lived. It's always a new journey, and then thinking about also like reaching out to people on LinkedIn, reaching out to people maybe on YouTube and other like video sites to figure out what it's actually like to live there, and how they were able to start their life with other people's advice too. Yeah.
Thank you for that. That is quite detailed and helpful. So, what's your take on building work relationship that last? You mentioned with different stakeholders, right? And why these are cross-functional teams. And it's not like people were BFF before you start working on the project. What's your take on building work relationships that last and help the product thrive within the product team?
Yeah, I would say it's relationships are built on trust and like genuine curiosity about other people's goals. Make sure that you're dependable and you have an open line of communication. If something's going to get delayed, be super transparent about it. Let them know as early on as possible, because this will give them time to like prepare and plan for the delay or the like little bump in the road. And you can also offer up suggestions to any potential issues that come along, because you'll be seen as an open and honest partner. I think that that's one of the biggest things in a work experience and building great relationships is just being open and honest and transparent, and being like proactive and trying to help people out in like situations that come up. Um, Learning about what people are working on, their priorities, and seeing like how you can help them achieve it. Everyone has like different goals at companies and different ways of achieving them. And so try and be helpful and add to people's lives in a positive way and show interest in what they're working on. I get really excited when people ask me about like what I'm working on, because I love telling people about it. And I know that like other people feel the same way. Like I love the products I work on, and I love the people I work with. And so when people ask about like what I'm doing, I get like, it's great when people are interested in like stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Um, I would also say to like build consistency, make sure you follow up with people and you show appreciation and you stay connected beyond just projects. Because once a project is finished, you can ask them if they want to get lunch or get coffee. Because you never know when people are going to come back into your lives. Like I've worked with people on projects I thought I never would see again. But then a few months later, they'll pop up on a completely different project. And it's like, oh, I know you. I know your working style. I know you're amazing to work with. And so it's really great to be able to build a relationship. And once I and you never know when you collaborate with someone again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Like, I've picked so much from it. I remember this colleague I worked with 2 years ago, and she's the one that first said most of these things you're saying. Be genuinely interested in people's life. And come to think of it, I feel great when people are a little interested in my life and my goals beyond just the work we are doing. Right? So think about it. Shouldn't I make somebody else feel that way? Genuinely interested in, oh, what are some of the goals you have in this company? Oh, what are some of the goals you have with this your project? Be genuinely interested in people's life. Make them feel important. I mean, I like feeling important, so I want to believe everybody likes feeling important. So that is really cool. And consistently show up. I really love all the points you made. So my next question will be on the mentorship. You've been a mentee and you've been able to mentor people even quite early in your career. Are there ways that has helped shape your perspective as a young product manager?
Oh, yeah. I think that mentorship is really important. It helped clarify my own knowledge and leadership style. Um, it also has shown me how much I've grown. People have come with me to similar situations that they've been in when, like, I was younger, and before I didn't know how to navigate those situations, but I was able to, like, give the people I mentor like my recommendations on different solutions that they could maybe think of. And so it gave me more confidence to see how far I've come as like someone pretty early in their career. I'm able to help people out with similar situations I've been in, but I know exactly how to handle them and help them out with it. Um, and it also shows that like impact goes like it doesn't really matter how old you are. I know that like a lot of the times when I go into meetings, I'm the youngest person in the room by like over a decade, and that can be kind of intimidating, but it also helped me see that impact is sometimes it doesn't matter how old you are. And it's also great to see that like being a mentor also showed me there's two different paths that you well, there's two big paths you can go on as a product manager. You can be an individual contributor and not have a team and not have people under you. You work on a lot bigger projects because you have a lot more years of experience. Or you could become a people leader as a product manager, and you can have your own team, and you can have people you mentor and you work with who work under you. And the mentorship also showed me that I want to go more on the people leader route as opposed to being an individual contributor, because I like providing that mentorship. I like working with young product managers and being able to help guide them not only with their day-to-day tasks, but being able to provide them with like mentorship and leadership and kind of guidance and help solve their problems. Because I like working with like a lot of younger people, being
Yeah.
able to help them out.
Yeah, I totally relate. I love how it's obvious that you've come to a place of getting to know yourself. I mean, we are still getting to know ourselves as the day goes by, but you've done a lot of self-reflection. You understand, oh, this is the kind of person I am. From the first call I had with you, I felt very much at ease. You're really a people person, so your impacts would really go well in that direction. So,
Thank
is there
you.
a notable challenge you've encountered as a product manager? It's okay if it hasn't been tackled, but I would love to know any challenge. So,
Product manager.
yeah, or what has been your biggest challenge so far as a product manager?
Biggest challenge has been, I would say, prioritization. There's a lot of competing priorities that we want to work on. Um, for example, there's how do we prioritize bugs people have versus big initiatives versus all these like exciting new features that have like a potential huge impact on our users. Like being able like you can't get everything done in a sprint. There's
Yeah,
things that there are trade-offs. There are like there are trade-offs, and there you only have a certain amount of like engineers and designers too, as you know, and you don't want to like overwhelm them, and you want to keep the morale up, and you
yeah,
can't just throw a bunch of work at them. So you have to make tough decisions on how to prioritize them. Usually, what I do is I lay out all the things that we want to do and I categorize them into bugs, new initiatives, and new initiatives, and also smaller things to improve the quality of life. Because not everything is a huge initiative. And so what I do is for the huge initiatives, I take a look at what is the estimated impact of it. How many users will this affect? Is there an estimated lift in terms of like your key metric? If so, how much? Have there been any like user research studies or any data that can back up the potential impact of this initiative?
Yeah.
And then I take a look at the bugs and I see if they're high priority bugs. Are they preventing the user from like doing their daily job? For example, we have a lot of users that build pipelines. Does it prevent a user from building a pipeline, or is it something like the button is shifted a little more to the left than it usually is? That's maybe a lower priority bug, but I also understand it's a big thing for design. And I take a look at the smaller initiatives that will improve quality of life but aren't a huge like revenue driver or a bug. Take a look at how much developer work each initiative will take, and design work too, and do a high level view of effort versus potential payout.
Wow. Wow. And PMs are always in meetings. Okay. What's one lesson you say as a person you are still learning as an individual? What's one lesson you are still learning today?
Ooh, the lesson I'm still learning as an individual, I would say to to take everyone's. I go to a lot of people for advice and for feedback, but remembering that everyone is I connect with is super smart, super motivated, and I really appreciate their input. But at the end of the day, it's just input and advice. You take in what they're saying, soak in what like knowledge they're kind of instilling in you, but make sure that it is just an input to a final decision that you're making. Because at the end of the day, as a product manager, you're the one that's making the decision, and the decision's going to be on you. It's not, unless it's your manager or like someone above you. If you go to someone for input or for feedback, it's take it as an input, but don't necessarily follow it blindly to a T, because at the end of the day, your name's going to be on the product. You have to think critically about what people are telling you, take in all the feedback, compare it against data or research that has been done, but make sure that the decision is on you at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is very profound. Taking ownership of the decision and the effects thereof, the impact of it. If it's good, amazing. If it's not so good, if it's bad, good as well, because you've learned from that experience. But taking ownership, that is very profound. Okay, so as we conclude, I have just one last question, then you can give any take. With everything you've done so far, with the work, with the schooling, post-schooling, getting a job, if you had to speak to your younger self, let's say yourself of 5 years ago, what's one thing you would say you are sincerely so proud of at this stage?
I would say the past few years have definitely been a journey. I would say stay true to your goal about becoming a product manager. It wasn't an easy goal at all. I chose like a very technical major in college. I was a data science and business major. And I enjoyed it, but it was a lot of like sacrifices when I was in it, because a lot of the coursework was very intensive. And so getting through those like late night exams, coding challenges, office hours, in the end, it's worth it. It was able to get me kind of my dream role and put me in a great position after graduation. I would also say like be proud of yourself for breaking into tech and doing it all by myself. Like I didn't have any like connections through like friends and family. I was able to make those connections through like networking events and through previous roles, and I was able to do it like all by myself, which has been really great. Another thing is use your platforms to like also help guide others and give back into the community. That's something that I would remind myself to continually give back. Maybe I should have done it a little bit earlier on. And so those are a few things. I would say it's like all the late nights are worth it. And I grew like such an amazing community along the way. It's been in like a really great journey.
Chloe, this has been really an amazing session. Even this listening to you talk is practically motivating me. Yeah, it's putting ideas in my head of all the things that are possible. The last question I asked you, looking back at the last 5 years, let me just think. 2 honest things I think I would love to tell myself. 1, you have everything you need to achieve everything you've ever wanted. Look at how far you've come. Okay, I'm sorry, I was a bit dramatic, but I will sincerely, some things feel so impossible. Last 5 years, this is 2025, that will be 2020. So it was even during COVID-19, thinking about what my life would be. I've not even gotten into tech. In 2020, I was just getting into graphic design. So thinking of what my life would be, having no single idea of what I was going to do with my life. But you never know what the next 5 years is going to be like for you, blessed. So you could actually go as far as you ever imagine, right? So those are the 2 things. Then the third one I'll tell myself is keep going. Look at what consistency has done over the years. You could do way more. Think about it. Well, Chloe, speaking to you today, having this chat has been really amazing. I know I'm going to listen to it even after editing because this is very profound. I really appreciate your honesty and your take, and I would love to stay connected with you. Then for our audience, if there's something if there's one strong knowledge you should leave this podcast with today, is the fact that you could literally do anything you want, irrespective of degree, irrespective of your background. You could actually go as far as achieving whatever you want to achieve. And I would love to implore you to stay consistent. And you have the power. You can do all things. I wish you guys the very best. On the podcast today, we had Chloe Good, a product manager in New York. And my name is Blessed Onoha. I'm a product designer in Nigeria. Nice to have you. See you next time. Chloe, would you like to wave bye?
Thank you so much. Goodbye. This was an amazing experience, and I loved being on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Are you ready for it now? Feel the rhythm take a bow. Life's a game, let's play it loud.